What's up, everyone? It's Nick from Team Nitro YGO here, and today I am bringing you a hero deck profile for the August-September 2021 format. This is a deck that I just decided to pick up for fun. I haven't really been enjoying a lot of the other decks in the format. It's just something where, how do I want to describe it? The format, as diverse as it is pretty stale. The top of the metagame is pretty well defined at this point. I'm just trying to find some rogue decks and some other options that I might enjoy playing. I picked this up again to play at a couple of locals, and it's been very fun. It's been very, very fun. A lot of 2/2s and 3/2s, but the deck is super fun. And if you have the cards lying around and you wanted to play this deck, I would recommend it. As always, if you just want a deck list, it's going to be in the description of this video, along with my Facebook and my Twitter, so go follow me, go friend me, I post cool stuff. And without further ado, let's just get right into the deck list, and I'm going to explain my card choices. So for the elemental heroes in the deck, there's 3 copies of Stratos, 2 copies of Shadow Mist, 2 copies of Liquid Soldier, and 1 copy of Honest Neos. I wanted to talk about this ratio for a minute. 3 Stratos I feel is pretty self-explanatory. 2 Shadow Mist is just an engine requirement. You have to play 2 of this card. 2 Liquid is kind of controversial. 1, because it's a $50 card and having to play 2 of it's really annoying. But secondly, you can only use 1 of its effects once per turn, so it's really hard to resolve. But here's why I like 2 of it. I don't really respect Nibiru when I play this deck. So I wanted to have a Liquid Soldier that I could banish for my first turn play for Miracle Fusion. And I also wanted a Liquid Soldier to search at the end of my combo to have a follow-up for next turn. So that's why I'm playing 2. But if you wanted to cut it, or you just don't have it, you don't want to buy it, and you want to play a Solid Soldier, that's fine. Solid Soldier is a perfectly acceptable card. I just really like having 2 Liquid in the deck. And then Honest Neos, this is how we out Dragoon, this is how we out Winda, like all those other problematic monsters. Helps you push for game, so... Okay, I was reading it to see if it had secret effects, but it doesn't. So that does it for the elemental heroes. I'm not playing any other ones. I'm not playing the Flame, Wingman, Burstunitrix, Avian combo. Just requires you to play bad cards. I'm just trying to play good cards in my deck. For the Vision heroes, 3 Ferris. This is the heart and soul of the deck. You really want this card to resolve. Playing 2 Increase. I hate playing 2 of this card. Drawing this card sucks. But, so here's the reason why I'm on 2, though. This deck's a little different than when Brilliant Fusion was legal. Because the thing is, yeah, drawing Garnet wasn't the end of the world, but Brilliant Fusion wasn't your engine. It didn't matter if you couldn't resolve Brilliant Fusion because you had a secondary plan. This entire deck is Ferris. So if Ferris doesn't resolve, you're playing just a very mediocre deck. So I do think this deck needs to play 2 Increase so that you can just guarantee you play the game if you draw it. And I would rather this card be literally anything else. I want to play a ton of other different hero cards. I want to test out different extenders. But it just has to be Increase, because if it's not, you're just not playing the game. And then 2 Vion to summon off the Increase. I do kind of want to play 3 of this card, though. It's a very powerful card. It's by far your best 1-card starter. But it does take up your normal, and you can't really get it out of your hand. That's part of the reason I like Solid Soldier, is if I were to play 3 of this, I would cut a Liquid for a Solid, so that you can go Solid into Vion. But yeah, this card is just part of your combo lines. It's a very, very powerful normal, so... That does it for the Vision heroes. On to the Destiny hero package. 2 Mali. Konami, please just either put this card to 3 or put it to 0. I don't care anymore. This card being at 2 is so tilting. You have so many ways to get through the first one, and then you just have the second one sitting in your grave. Well, I guess I'll banish it for Dark Calling because it doesn't have another purpose, so... And then I am playing Fusion Destiny in my deck, so I'm playing the 1 Celestial and the 1 Dynatag. I'm not playing Draw Hand because I'm not giving my opponent a card. I don't care if I control them afterward. Just giving them a card is bad. This card is randomly outs to problematic spell cards, draws you cards after turn 1, and then Dynatag's a hand trap, actually. This card can save you. I hard drew this card in 1 game against VW, and it actually won me the game because I didn't die to the Crystal Wingo TK, and then I just made Malicious Bane and blew up their board. It was pretty great. And then the last Destiny hero is Plasma. This is part of the end board. This card sucks, though. It's really bad. It takes a lot of resources to get on the board. But if you do get it on the board and you can keep it around for a turn, it's pretty powerful. This is how I beat Dragon Link in one of my locals, was just they hand trapped me twice, so I literally just ended on Plasma, set Mass Change. So, they just couldn't beat it, though. They just couldn't beat it. And then the last hero monster is the 1 Adusted Gold. I'm sorry, this card's $150, but it's by far one of the best win conditions this deck can play. If you don't have this card, I'm really, really sorry. Like, a Dusted Gold into Bane is so powerful for a kill. Or even when you're going second, it's kind of like Zeus. Like, going second, you can just use a Dusted Gold to, like, bait out a bunch of negates and, like, blow up boards. Like, it's so powerful. That does it for the monsters. I'm playing, I think, 20? Something like that. 16, yeah. 21 monsters, so 19 spells for a 40-card main deck. One hero lives. Shout out to my homeboy Jesse getting me that clean ulti. The one Rhoda, the 3 E-Call. So, I just wanted to play a super consistent deck. I wanted to play as many copies of Ferris as I could. All of these are effectively copies of Ferris. The only other way you could play extra is if you play like Pot of Prosperity, but there's way too much risk in that card. Just because banishing from your extra deck when it's your critical resource is not something I want to do. And also you need a ton of Silver Bullet 1-0s for your fusion spells because they don't have a lot of utility otherwise. So Prosperitying them is just really bad. So that's why I'm just like maxing out on the consistency spells. And then 3 Fusion Destiny. This is like the only extender the deck has access to that doesn't like completely lock you out of the game. But yeah, this card going first, if you don't have any other plays, can make you a Darklaw. It also makes Dystopia. It can help you push for game. And yeah, you know, it's a very powerful card. You know, anything that fuses from deck, even with a restriction, it's a pretty good Yu-Gi-Oh card. So, and then 3 copies of Mass Change. If I could play 10 of this, I could. Like, this is by far the most powerful fusion spell the deck has access to. Turning your monsters into Darklaw or Acid or any other masked hero to provide disruption for you is powerful. It helps you push for game because it's a quick play spell. This card helps you play around Nibiru because if you just say go to end phase, and then in the end phase you can put your Darklaw on board so they can't nib you. It's really good synergy. I did that to a couple of people. And also it's like going second, this like baits a ton of interaction, so yeah, you gotta play 3. And then for the 1-of fusion spells, the 1 Polymerization for Vion, the 1 Dark Calling for a Dusted Gold, and the 1 Miracle Fusion for Sunrise. I did consider playing 2 Poly for a minute because the second one does come up in some of your combo lines, but it just wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth a card slot. And then for the 1-ofs, or the power 1-ofs, the Call by the Grave and the Monster Reborn, these 2 cards are just insane. Like, this card protects you from hand traps. This card's an extender. I did kind of want to play Upstart Goblin, just play a 39-card deck, because I do want to focus on consistency. But I really wanted to play these cards. Like, these 2 cards, to me, took precedent over Upstart Goblin. But if you wanted to play just a straight 39-card deck, I'd cut the Call by to play Upstart. And then the last card, the only disruptive card in the entirety of the main deck, and another unfortunately very expensive card, is 3 Forbidden Droplet. So I wanted a card that would allow me to play going second, but I also wanted a card that, if I did win the die roll, was still live. So I was debating between this or Imperm. I chose this because of its ability to interact with multiple cards on my opponent's side of the field. And also the reduction of attack did actually matter, because this deck you can push for game pretty easily with 1 or 2 cards in this deck going second. So having just the ability to like shrink their monster down and then attack into it for a bunch of damage, say with Malicious Bane or Honest Neos or some other combination of that, it came up a ton. And again, going second versus decks like Drytron and Tri-Brigade, this lets you interact with the Shurig, the Herald, even against Prank Kid. You can convert this against Battle Butler when they go to Butler you on your Ferris effect, or your Increase effect, excuse me. You can chain the Droplet, send a card, negate their Butler, and now they're down to just hand traps, which you can usually push through. But yeah, if you don't have this card, don't worry. You can play things like Imperm. Forbidden Chalice is actually a really good one. Just a clean 1-for-1 trade that you can set going first. If you wanted to be hero cards, I don't know what I would play instead. Like, this card's just ridiculous, though, is the problem. Like, there isn't, like, if you wanted just a strictly going second card, you could play Dark Ruler no more. If you wanted to focus on consistency, you could add, like, extra search cards, but there just, like, really isn't much you can play. Like, I just wanted a super flexible main deck card that, like, let me play through combo boards and provided disruption going first, and this was, like, one of the few cards that could do it. So that's why it made the main deck cut. So that does it for the main deck. It's 40 cards. It's really, really tight. There isn't really anything else I would play. Just because, like, the combo is so much more problematic in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now than Control that I don't want to play cards like Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched and all these other blowout cards that, like, cost me resources or have restrictions on them. The only restriction on this card is you have to have cards in your hand to send to the graveyard. Like, the Dark Law anti-synergy never came up for me, but it definitely is there. But this card's insane. But anyway. So like I said, that's the main deck. 40 cards, super tight. I'm pretty happy with it, though. There's not much I would change about it. On to the extra deck. We'll start with the Masked Heroes, the 2 Dark Law, the 1 Acid, and the 1 Blast. So, I'm not playing Anki. I don't think that card's very good. I don't really need extra mass changes. I can usually just put them back in circulation with Wonder Driver. And, like, the attacking directly on Anki just never came up. Dark Law, obviously, it's the most powerful card in the deck. Floodgating people out. Their cards don't go to graveyard. You can rip cards out of their hand when they search. Very, very powerful boss monster. Acid, blowing up back row. Blast lets you shrink things and bounce stuff back to the hand. Like, all of these cards have their uses. They're all mass change targets, and they all just do different things. So much more to talk about with these. For the... Oh, I'm sorry. For the Elemental Hero lineup, 1 Absolute 0. This comes up for Miracle Fusion because you can banish a hero and a water out of the graveyard. Sunrise to search Miracle Fusion and to pop things. Like, this card's another good way to break boards going second is you can just make it, enter battle phase, and start attacking to blow stuff up. Escarado. This card sucks. I'm going to be completely honest. This card is atrociously bad. But I wanted a Dark Hero that I could Fusion Summon under Fusion Destiny that let me draw cards off Liquid Soldier. And this is the only one that exists. So, it's here. And also, if I ever go back to playing Super Poly, this is a really good Super Poly target. But I would definitely cut this card, and I'd play literally anything else. It sucks. And then The Shining. This card's actually good. I think this card's not ironically good. It gains 300 attack for all your banished heroes, and it can get you 2 banished when it goes to grave. So, like, this is just another big beater that helps you close out games. And it's pretty easy to make. It's a warrior, or it's a hero and a light. Sunrise is a light. So you can just make Sunrise, link it off, and then use the Miracle Fusion that it searched to make Shining. So I think this card's good. And again, it's a Super Poly target for Zeus if you're playing Super Poly. So, yeah, like, this card just, like, comes up a ton. Like, you just randomly, like, need a thing to close out the game, and just the Shining does it, so. For the Destiny Heroes, the 1 Dangerous and the 1 Dystopia, I needed 2 Fusion Destiny targets. Part of the Dark Law combo, this is a Dryden to pop a card. And again, these are just beaters going second. And then the last fusion, Evil Hero Malicious Bane. This card is ridiculous. Destroying opponents' boards, hitting for a bunch of damage. They can't really interact with it. Obviously, things like Imperm, Eat It Alive, Nightmare Unicorn, shuffling it back is a really big problem because then you can't make it again. But this card's very, 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 very good. And then on to the Link monsters. I did play the Verte. I was not impressed with this card. I would definitely cut it going forward for Dread Decimator. But I wanted to test it out just to like, see how to have it. I can't speak, I'm sorry. Just having it in the extra deck, having nice utility. Getting Xeno locked from Ferris is, like, really awkward with this card, because you'll often, like, resolve Ferris but then have 2 monsters on board, but you can't make the Verte because you're under Ferris. So, I don't know. Going forward, I cut this card, but I did like testing it. It was fine. Like, 2 Cross Crusader. This card's actually broken. Like, reviving things from grave, searching any hero in the deck. It's only 2 warriors to make. Konami, please give me this a super in OTS 18, please. And then the last hero on the extra deck is Wonder Driver. This lets you reset your spell cards, and it floats. So there's not much more to talk about there. So yeah, like I said, the only changes I'd make to the extra deck is I would cut the Verte for Dread Decimator. And you could also cut Escarado. I'd probably play a Great Tornado or some other just like a big hero monster in its place. Just like clean up boards. So that is it for the extra deck. Onto the side deck. It's a pretty standard side deck, to be honest with you. It's just a bunch of blowout cards. So 3 copies of Droll for the Drytron matchup. Also a ton of rogue decks like Adagnister, other random stuff. 3 Nibiru. Again, this deck I hate 1-for-1 cards in because the game isn't really going very long. Like, I just want blowout cards that allow me to present lethal. So that's why I'm playing cards like Droplet and these. These are just high impact hand traps that blow them out, then they pass to me, and then I win. Or I can try to win at least. But yeah, against certain decks, these cards are just FTKs. Like, this card helps the Drytron matchup. This lets you beat stuff like Print Kid and Rogue. By far, one of the best cards in my deck all day, all weekend, really, was Triple Tactics Talent. This card's absurd. Like, I've used all the modes pretty frequently. Like, drawing 2 to hit Extenders' Gas, taking monsters to push for game is really powerful. Looking at their hand, shuffling a card back, by far the most powerful mode on this card. Yeah, this card is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This was the card I thought about main decking over the Forbidden Droplets, because they both fill the same premise in that going second they allow you to push through interaction, but I felt like Droplet was better in the main. And this card, I want, like, don't get me wrong, I'm never upset to see Talents, but, like, Talents doesn't help me against just, like, random boards that people build. This also doesn't interact with, like, trap cards and stuff. So if they, like, Tidying to bounce my thing, or if they, like, Chuche to pop something, then this doesn't matter, whereas at least I can get some versatility in this by, like, negating their follow-up after. But that is something I might test, is I might test the tactics in the main and these in the board. But, again, I wasn't upset with Droplet in the main. I wasn't upset with this in the side. I boarded this in basically every time I went first. Even sometimes I went second. Like, against Tri-Brigade going second, I kept this card in because they're going to Sure Egg you. They're going to Sure Egg your thing away. And then you just, like, get to tactics, take the Sure Egg, and then you can, like, push for game. Like, against Drytron, I had this in going second. I could, like, because you would, like, interact with them. They make Dragoon, and then they negate your starter. You take the Dragoon, and then you push for game. Like, this is just absurd. If you don't have this card, I don't really know what else to tell you. Like, I'd play another going second blowout card. Like, there isn't really anything else I'd want in its slot. It's a very powerful card. 3 twin. I wanted backer removal. That's about all there is to say about this. You could cut one for a Feather Duster. There's not, like... I might test out Cosmics instead of these, because the discard is kind of a downside in this deck, because you don't have a lot of inherent card advantage. I'm not entirely sure, though. I just want some backer removal in this spot. If I had them, I'd play Lightning Storm, because that card's just infinitely better in this deck, because you never have cards on board on turn 1. So it's so easy, and, like, you can clean your board up pretty easily, so you can have it live on future turns as well. But yeah, just play backer removal, and then best card in the side deck, Triple Judgment. This card's cracked. So this card lets you negate random Dark Rulers and Evenlies that people board in against you. It interacts very profitably with matchups that rely on their normal summon. And it's a very powerful card. And again, you draw a lot of cards throughout your combo. You get to draw with Liquid Soldier, and you get to see cards with Celestial. So having cards like this that you can draw into if you don't open is actually insane. So yeah, this card's just very, very good. Like, to the surprise of no one, Solemn Judgment's a good Yu-Gi-Oh card. Like, it protects your board, it gets versatility in the fact that it can actually interact with them. Yeah, there's not much more to talk about with that. So, that is going to do it for this deck profile. Like I said, this is just a fun deck I've been messing around with. It's something that I really enjoy playing, and I'm probably going to keep playing in the future. Yeah. I don't know. There just really isn't a lot to talk about this deck. Like, you want blowout cards because you're good at OTKing. Your end boards aren't super impressive, but they do enough that they keep you alive. You just really have to get through the interaction and get to playing the game. If you're actually playing the game, then you can get through stuff. It's getting to play the game that is difficult. But, as always, if you just want the deck profile because you didn't want to hear about my card choices, the link is going to be in the description. And that's going to do it. Let me know what you think of the deck profile in the comment section down below. Let me know what changes you would make, what you think I should have in the deck instead of other cards. Let's get a discussion going, because that's always what I post these profiles for. I just want to get ideas out there, share my thought process, and hopefully just, like, make a better deck overall. So that's going to do it for this video. My name is Nick from Team Nitro YGO. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.